Hey everyone, time for another Splash and Go. Dave Burns along with Nate Ryan bringing you memories from this year's Brickyard 400 and looking forward to Las Vegas this coming weekend. Nate, it was an interesting full day on Sunday, qualifying on Sunday morning. We haven't done much of that before. Have any effect on the drivers' days, you think? Was that a good way to go in the future?
I think it changed the rhythm of that race day a little bit. I was listening to the driver interviews as they were coming out of the cars after qualifying, and certainly there was more of a hurry up, I think, atmosphere and a sense of, I don't know how my car is necessarily going to race because we're not going to have a lot of time to debrief ahead of the race. So I thought it was interesting, but I didn't hear any pushback. I think it's something NASCAR will try probably more often in the future.
They're doing a lot of different things to make the schedule right, make it fun, make it interesting for the fans that come out to the track. And what they eventually saw was a wild Brickyard 400. I'll start with that word. What was your take on the day?
Wild describes it. Bizarre might be another one, but also, I think very newsworthy and significant when you think about not just Kevin Harvick stamping himself as a championship contender, but Jimmy Johnson missing the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. In the 16-year existence of the NASCAR playoffs, Jimmy Johnson has always been a part of it. For him to be absent, certainly that was a big deal. And Bubba Wallace finishing third. And I don't think his name was on the lips of many people in terms of who will be the surprise driver who could win and maybe get in. I think there was a lot of talk and chatter about maybe a Paul Menard or somebody like that. And for Bubba Wallace, who ran well all weekend and really backed up a strong performance in practice and qualifying, I thought that was very solid for the 43.
The Menard is interesting because I had his car. They were very good, had some damage late and got put back. But Wallace, the thing that I found interesting was he knew. He was making statements going into the race, best car ever, I believe he said on the weekend. So there was this, well, okay, and if you do everything right, you might be a winner.
Right, and he had that great interview post-race with Kelly Stavist where, we're not supposed to finish here, according to NASCAR Twitter. I mean, it was everything you love about Bubba Wallace, which is this, he's this engaging, brash personality who's very appealing. It's magnified when he has that kind of success. I think if he's able to have that kind of success more often, it's good for him, it's good for the 43, but really I think it's good for NASCAR because he's one of those personalities like Clint Boyer. The more he's in the spotlight, I think the more NASCAR benefits.
So Boyer gets in, Newman drives hard and gets in, Suarez drives hard, tries hard, does not get in. How disappointing for him?
I think very, because they felt as if, throughout the season, they were worthy of being a playoff team. But unfortunately, some of those moments, I think, Dave, when they showed they were playoff worthy, like winning the pole at Kentucky, but then not amassing any stage points in that first race. It was a pit call that I think was questionable. And unfortunately, there were a few moments like that, I think, during the season that kept Daniel Suarez ultimately from making up those 4 points that he needed to get around Ryan Newman and make the playoffs. And I think that each year Suarez has been in the Cup Series. I think there's been a progression, but obviously he wants to make the playoffs, and I think year 3, that was certainly the goal.
One more thought on Jimmy Johnson. Don't forget, today on Dale Jr. Download, he is the guest. We know how to schedule him, or Dale's people do, so you'll hear from Jimmy Johnson and some of the thoughts following his Indianapolis disappointment. Harvick dominated. Let's shift our brain from there to Las Vegas as well and say, pretty strong heading into the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I think you look at the last 2 races, Dave, that where aerodynamics and horsepower matter a lot. Darlington's in the conversation, but I think Michigan and Indy are similar. In that they've often been good barometers for how teams race in the playoffs and who the championship contenders are. And Harvick told us afterward, he told Marty Snyder, hey, that was the car that I won Michigan with, and now we're winning Indy again, and I think we're going to see that car again during the final 10 races. And he certainly showed that he can keep up with the Gibbs cars, and I think that's the big question going in the playoffs is who can contend with the Gibbs cars. I think Harvick made a strong case for that Sunday.
So let's look at Las Vegas coming up, sort of NASCAR on NBC predictor app style. Who are your top 3, and maybe throw in a dark horse there, even though I don't think it would help win the 50 grand, which that's up to, by the way, so you want to pay attention. Who you got on your mind?
I think I would go with the local hometown favorite. I'd go Kyle Busch. I feel like he's got something to prove after having a little bit of I wouldn't know if you would call it a slump, but it's been a while since that last win, and it's been a while since his last win at Vegas. It's been 10 years. So
okay.
I think that he would be my #1 driver. And then I don't think you can go wrong with the Penske drivers. Keselowski and Logano have the most recent 2 wins at Las Vegas. Those would probably be my top 3.
So I stayed with Harvick for 2 in a row with that momentum he's got from the Brickyard.
That's a good pick.
And then I went Denny Hamlin, also really strong right now in terms of his, I think, his mental game as well as their game on track. Came back from a damaged race car to finish with a good solid top 10 finish. And then I went a little Penske as well. Joey Logano, the March winner. I think he could easily be in the top 3. And my dark horse possibility, even though I don't think they'll be as strong as maybe they have been on some of the driver-intensive tracks, Matty D. And of course, I also bring him up because he will be on Motor Mouths tomorrow night. So a little fix there to help get some 95 love in there. But I think he could be a factor as well.
I definitely wouldn't discount him. And if you're looking for another dark horse, he's not going to be on any NBCSN programming in the next 2 days. But Kyle Larson, I like his chances a lot. He was a factor last year, and that team's really coming on.
And just like last year, they'll be doing it all in the heat. Triple digits predicted again at Las Vegas. And maybe they'll need a splash and go of something.